And welcome to This Is Now. Another act of violence rattles an Oahu neighborhood. HPD says an argument at a Kalihi residence turned deadly when a man allegedly stabbed his female housemate. Casey Lunn has the details from the scene.
To give you a little context of where we're standing, we're on Olumea Street, right by the Vineyard off-ramp. What we know is that this all unfolded around 8 o'clock last night, just after 8 o'clock. That's when HPD says they responded to a report of an argument, some kind of an altercation between apparent roommates here. What we know is a 57-year-old woman was stabbed to death. She was taken to the emergency room in critical condition where she later died. Police say they believe that the suspect is a 27-year-old male who was apparently, again, living at this residence as well. We know that call for the argument came in just after 8 o'clock, as I mentioned. The 27-year-old male arrested for second-degree murder. Now, according to HPD, there was some sort of argument that escalated, and eventually, at some point, the 27-year-old male stabbed that woman. Not clear exactly with what or how many times. We are trying to get more information from police about their investigation, which is ongoing this morning. We had a team here on scene last night. They spoke to neighbors in this area who say, of course, they're shocked, saddened that this is happening right in their backyard. They tell us, though, that female victim had some issues. She may have recently been released from incarceration. She lived here for more than a year, though. They say she had some issues again and could act erratically at times, but wasn't known to be violent or to hurt anyone. We also talked to neighbors who say they believe that argument may have been a dispute over their living situation and kind of an ongoing issue. That male suspect had been living here for a couple of months, according to some of those folks we talked to. Again, I want to make sure that we're clear that that is information we got last night from people who live in this neighborhood here in Kalihi, not information we've confirmed with police. We are working to get more information from HPD. They're asking that anyone with information call the Crime Stoppers hotline, that number 955-8300. We'll continue to keep you updated throughout the day on air and online. Just look at HawaiiNewsNow.com. We'll send things back into the studio for now.
Casey, thank you. A fight near Ala Moana has led to an attempted murder investigation. Police rushed to Rycroft Street just after 2 yesterday afternoon and found a 23-year-old man seriously injured. HPD has arrested 3 juvenile male suspects, 2 15-year-olds and a 16-year-old. A jury has handed down a verdict for an ex-con who was shot by police 4 years ago. Dion Kitzmiller is the man swarmed by officers in this 2021 video. At the time, HPD was serving 2 warrants on charges including kidnapping and abuse. As police approached, the then 31-year-old drove at them, crashing a Jeep into 4 vehicles, prompting officers to open fire. Last week, Kitzmiller was found guilty of criminal property damage and for a firearms offense. He now faces up to 40 years in prison. Sentencing is scheduled for January 8th. Amid a severe water shortage, the PGA announced this morning it will not be playing the Century Tournament in Kapalua this January. The resort's Plantation Course has hosted the event since 1999, and it's typically the tour's season-opening tournament. In a statement, tour officials cited a number of reasons for the decision, including drought conditions, water conservation requirements, agronomic conditions, and logistical challenges. The Century typically generates millions of dollars in revenue for the state's economy. At this time, it's not known when or where the Century will be moved. And Governor Josh Green released a statement this morning saying, quote, "We support the PGA Tour's decision, given the drought conditions Maui is facing. Protecting our water and supporting our communities come first. The Century has long showcased Maui's beauty while giving back to local nonprofits, and we're grateful to the Tour, Century Insurance, Kapalua Resort, and Maui County for their partnership. We are excited to host the Sony Open in Hawaii, bringing international attention and support to Hawaii's communities." The Sony Open at Waialae Country Club is still scheduled for January 12th to the 18th. Meantime, Maui County confirms it is interested in taking over a water distribution system that's been supplying the west side for more than a century. The system's owner, Maui Land and Pineapple, is being sued by golf courses and other customers for not providing enough water recently. MLP also announced last week that it's looking into leasing or selling the distribution system. Kalo farmers like Ka'apuni Aiwohi are hoping the county buys it.
I welcome any opportunity for Maui Land and Pine to be held accountable to what they're supposed to be doing. There should be oversight in this public trust that is supposed to be benefiting everyone. And right now, there is no oversight. There is no accountability.
At the end of the day, we need to look at what is the bigger of the two evils. We need to we need to make some changes, or we're going to continue on this track to our demise.
The State Commission on Water Resource Management is scheduled to talk about the issues in West Maui later today. Now to an update on a brush fire we first told you about this morning on Sunrise. A brush fire that broke out in Haiku has been extinguished. It was first reported at about 7:15 this morning off Kahiapo Place near Hana Highway. No evacuations were ordered, but officials were warning residents to be prepared. MEMA said the fire was put out shortly after 9 a.m. Prosecutors in Utah announced multiple formal charges against the 22-year-old man accused of killing conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Andres Gutierrez reports from St. George, Utah.
At a news conference Tuesday afternoon, the Utah County Attorney announced charges against Tyler Robinson, the suspect in the fatal shooting of conservative activist Charlie Kirk.
I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. I do not take this decision lightly, and it is a decision I have made independently as county attorney, based solely on the available evidence and circumstances and nature of the crime.
Investigators are piecing together evidence, including a rifle found in a wooded area after last Wednesday's shooting at Utah Valley University in Orem.
DNA consistent with Robinson was found on the rifle's trigger. After shooting Mr. Kirk, Robinson hid the gun, discarded the clothing he wore when he fired the rifle, and told his roommate to delete incriminating text messages and not talk to police. Children were present at the time of the shooting.
Also Tuesday, Robinson is set to make his first court appearance virtually from the county jail. Robinson has been held without bail since he was arrested after more than a 30-hour manhunt by local, state, and federal authorities. As the investigation continues, a spokesperson for Discord and two law enforcement sources confirmed to CBS News an account appearing to belong to the suspect claimed responsibility for the shooting in a group chat, writing in part, "It was me at UVU yesterday. I'm sorry for all of this." The messages were first reported by the Washington Post. Discord has said it hasn't found any evidence that the suspect planned Kirk's assassination on the chat platform. Andres Gutierrez, CBS News, St. George, Utah.
Back here at home, the Hawaiian Homes Commission has deferred action on a controversial proposal to accept donated property in Ewa Beach. Opponents are worried about contamination, but supporters say it can help the agency make money. Mahealani Richardson has the story.
The land at the center of the debate is former ag land in Ewa, owned by Catholic Charities. It's mostly empty, but there are environmental concerns and signs of dumping at the site on Fort Weaver and Old Fort Weaver Road. The Hawaiian Homes Commission is considering a proposed agreement where developer Kalani Anaole Development would buy the nearly 20 acres, donate it to the State Department of Hawaiian Homelands, and then lease it back to build a commercial center.
There are serious contamination concerns, and to accept a donation that could require millions of dollars of cleanup without knowing that ahead of time would have been negligent.
Despite no dumping and no parking signs, along with lots of barbed wire, parts of the property have become a magnet for illegal dumping. While here, we saw tires, trash, and even an old truck.
Aole, I'm going to be in strong opposition. But what I don't like is that we're going to give the Pilau land to Hawaiian Homes, where maybe they're going to clean them up, and then we're going to give them back.
Kalani Anaole Development says it's in the middle of escrow and environmental assessments, and it wants to help Hawaiian Homelands generate revenue.
This is just one way that DHHL can get money into the department so that it can build more infrastructure. This donation has no risk to DHHL. Zero risk.
This is not to provide risky land, to provide bad land.
The deal is a good deal for us. I believe it's the kuleana of the developer to come forward to ensure that there's nothing wrong with the land.
The commission decided to defer action today until its November meetings on Oahu.
Big relief.
DHHL Chair Kalihi recused himself from voting since the CEO of the developer once worked for him. Reporting from Eva, Mahealani Richardson, Hawaii News Now.
All right, well, happy Tuesday, everybody. Let's take a look at our first alert hour-by-hour forecast. Taking a live look outside right now. A little bit gray out there right now. Some cloud cover across Oahu. We're also seeing some showers out there right now over the windward side of the island. As we're going forward, we're going to be seeing fair weather. A few sprinkles out there, mostly focused over Windward and Melka locations. But again, these are minor showers out there. We're really not seeing a lot of rainfall out there. Over the last hour or so, we've seen some of those trade wind showers make their way over the windward side of the island, making their way over the Ko'olau into town, so a little bit more rainfall ahead over the next hour or so. But overall, we've been mostly sunny across the majority of the state out there, and a little bit cloudy over near Hawaii Island. I'll give you a closer look at what we're expecting going forward throughout the rest of this week coming up.
Thank you, Drew. Coming up, a Honolulu police sergeant with a history of questionable behavior is the subject of a new inquiry, this time for extraordinary overtime claims. An H&N Investigates report. And Hollywood is mourning the passing of Robert Redford. A look back, not just on his career, but his important work outside of the film industry. Welcome back. H&N investigates the extraordinary overtime claims of retired police sergeant who was raking in twice as much money as Hawaii's governor. Darren Kochola was HPD's top earner this fiscal year. Chief investigative reporter Lynn Kawano breaks down his paycheck and the person who approved all those hours.
The amount of money he received in extra pay is jaw-dropping. Some are wondering now, did he actually earn it?
Recently retired Honolulu Police Sergeant Darren Kochola is now the subject of a new probe into his overtime claims. Numbers provided by HPD show the top 10 earners made about or over $300,000 for fiscal year 2025, which ended in June. Kochola, a sergeant in District 3, which includes Pearl City, Aiea, and Waipahu, topped the list with more than $371,000, significantly more than any other officer. Kochola's 29 years with HPD earned him a base pay of $134,000. The overtime he claimed hauled in a whopping $236,810.80.
$250,000 in just overtime, not even salary, $250,000. there needs to be a pause. We need to look at this.
Breaking it down month by month, he consistently made tens of thousands of dollars in extra pay, with the peak in April. He made more than $28,000 in OT that month alone. Then it dropped off in May and June as he approached retirement in July. It's not uncommon for officers to pad their pension, which is computed using their most profitable years. But some call this excessive.
They call it spiking because these officers is probably in that 3-year range. So it would be the average of 3 years. So say they make 100,000, 100,000, and 200,000 the last year. That last year is would be considered what's called spiking.
An HPD record of overtime hours for officers shows Cachola put in for a total of 2,471 hours of overtime. If he works a 40-hour work week, then he averaged more than 87 hours for the 52 weeks. All officers need approval for overtime, and multiple sources say HPD is looking into computer records to see if Cachola had access to his captain's computer login and possibly used it to validate some of his own extra hours.
Where is the actual proof that he was working these hours? And if you have it, then we have to ask, why were you overworking this man that much?
We have an inquiry into the whole situation. And if that inquiry shows that there was wrongdoing, then that'll turn into an investigation.
Honolulu Police Interim Chief Ratty Vanek could not discuss the case further, but said Cachola is the only one of the top 10 earners to be probed about the overtime. Cachola has a history of concerning high-profile events, domestic violence cases stemming back to 2002 when a woman filed for a temporary restraining order against him, alleging that he had been violent toward her. It was granted but dissolved due to insufficient evidence. In 2014, he was fired after surveillance video leaked showing him fighting with his then-girlfriend in a Waipahu restaurant. A grand jury declined to indict him, and Cachola was reinstated. 3 years later, in 2017, he was accused of choking his wife. He was suspended, but never arrested. Then in 2019, Hawaii News Now cameras caught him leaving the cell block after an arrest for abuse of a family member. His ex-wife stopped cooperating with prosecutors, and the case was dismissed. Cachola now collects a hefty taxpayer-funded pension, at least $10,000 a month. But employee pensions can be challenged if the employee is convicted of a felony crime.
We spoke with Cachola's attorney offering comment for this story. We are waiting to hear back. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
And while Cachola made the most money from overtime, he did not log the most overtime hours at HPD. Coming up tonight on Hawaii News Now, Lynn continues her investigation, showing us which officers worked more and what division they're in. Plus, she'll tell us what the interim chief says they're doing about the excessive overtime issues.
And stick around. Coming up after the break, we'll give you a look at our first alert full forecast and take you to the island by island forecast, where we're expecting a few showers over windward areas.
Alert weather with Drew Davis.
All right, well, happy Tuesday, everybody. Here's a live look outside again from our tower cam. Looking a little bit gray out there, but we are seeing a few showers on the First Alert radar and satellite. Again, a few sprinkles out there. We can see in our island by island forecast for your Wednesday. Showers are likely and partly sunny conditions expected out there over on Kauai. And as we're going forward and down the island chain, you'll notice as we're getting to Oahu, a few sprinkles are possible out there over the next couple of days. Sunny and breezy over parts of Maui County. Wind gusts closer to 30 miles per hour on the island of Maui, 89 in Kahului and 88 over in Kihei. And then moving over to Hawaii Island, seeing around 87 for a high temperature in Kona tomorrow. Mostly sunny and light winds, spinning around to the Hilo side around 84 degrees. Scattered showers expected mostly in the early morning. Will be drying out throughout each afternoon. The northern portions of the Big Island also relatively breezy out there. A quick look at the water vapor satellite. This is looking at the water vapor content in the middle of the atmosphere, so not the really high parts or the really low parts, but you are seeing a little bit of moisture out there. It's not completely dry like it is off to our southwest. That drier air is going to be moving in towards the Big Island as we're going forward over the next couple of days. You can see in our First Alert futurecast, this specifically is the European model. Better chance for showers overnight, so windward showers into the overnight and early morning hours, and then we'll be drying out throughout each afternoon. Similar as we're going into Thursday, a few sprinkles over the windward parts of each island, and then drying out in the afternoon and late evening. Of course, that's going to continue all the way into this weekend. We have a better chance for some showers because of the weak front that's going to be moving in as we're going into the end of this week. Our winds outside right now, relatively breezy. Our surf and shoreline forecast for this afternoon. The main thing that I want you to know about today is, of course, those box jellies that are out there on Oahu and some south-facing shores and some west-facing shores. East-facing shores relatively choppy out there because of the breezy trades. And also a moderate south swell is going to be moving in as we're going into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Our box jellyfish probability Tuesday and Wednesday. You can see a high chance out there running into them, so be careful, especially on Oahu south-facing shores and some west-facing shores. Thursday, a lower chance. Friday, much lower. They're going to be moving away by the time we go to this weekend. Also, very dry out there. We need the rain very bad. Drought is developing across a large chunk of the state. A lot of the state still considered abnormally dry, especially the further west you go. But we've got severe drought and extreme drought developing over parts of Maui County and Hawaii Island. Here's your 7-day forecast. A few showers out there this afternoon. A better chance for some showers going into this weekend. Temperatures right around 88 to 89 degrees.
Acting legend Robert Redford has died at the age of 89. Dan Shedman takes a look back at his life and career.
As an actor, Robert Redford looked like a natural.
The thing I live for and always have lived for is creating art. So making films is the most important thing.
A native of California, his acting career began on the New York stage and on television before getting his chance on the big screen.
Why? Because I won't go walking barefoot in the park?
With the help of his leading man good looks, his career took off in the 1960s.
Did you make a jump like that you didn't have to?
I have to, and I'm not gonna.
When he teamed with Paul Newman in 1969's Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, he proved his movies could do big business at the box office. In the 1970s, Redford was one of Hollywood's biggest stars. He was attracted to complex stories and complicated characters. Many of his movies became cultural milestones.
Marvin, what do we do now? I wouldn't quote you even as an anonymous source. I mean, you'd be on deep background.
Like many actors, Redford wanted to work behind the camera. Ordinary People was his first film as a director. The movie won the Oscar for Best Picture in 1980. Redford was named Best Director. Always passionate about the movie business, Redford wanted to give back to the industry. He created the Sundance Institute, named after his character, the Sundance Kid. The Institute advances the work of up-and-coming filmmakers and showcases independent films at the annual Sundance Film Festival in Utah.
The idea of putting something back into a business that's been good to you, or back into an industry that is a part of your life, seems right to me.
The actor was also an activist who championed the environment and worked to preserve southern Utah's landscape.
Somebody has to think about the future and what we're going to be leaving people behind.
And while his days as a heartthrob came to an end, Redford continued to take roles in films that challenged him as an actor. Robert Redford. He made some of the great films of his generation and worked to foster the next generation of great filmmaking. Dan Sheneman, NBC News.
And I'm trying to get them to look at it now.
Well, still to come, if you've ever wondered what it's like to be slathered in ice cream, dreams do come true. We'll explain after the break. Well, I scream, you scream, we all scream for sunscreen.
That was great, Mark. I love that. This new product has heads turning. Van Leeuwen Ice Cream and Carnival Cruise Line have teamed up to create a new sunscreen ice cream flavor as part of a marketing campaign. Ingredients include coconut cream, cocoa butter, vanilla extract, and sea salt. Currently, it's not available in stores, but if it gets enough social buzz on social media, the scoop is that they'll offer it to consumers for a limited time.
Have to wonder what the market was for that. People asking for an ice cream that tastes like sunscreen.
I probably doesn't taste like actual sunscreen. It's probably just like, I don't know.
What a way to end the show. More news on the way at 4.